Dom Solanke could be leaving the Vitality Stadium. We don't know for sure, but over the last few days, the rumours have been hotting up. They were started by the ever-trusty Fabrizio Romano, and since then there's been more and more people talking about it. But will he go? Who can we replace him with? And ultimately, what will Spurs get if they do get him? Welcome, this is Back of the Net. We're an AFC Bournemouth fan channel. My name's Sam.
My name's Tom.
Right, Tom, let's just put it out there and say that Dom is leaving. We don't know that he is yet.
Yeah.
But if he is, how much of a miss would he be for AFC Bournemouth?
Oh, absolutely enormous. Obviously it's quite clear that 19 goals is a lot to lose, but I think there's much more than that. I mean, we've had previous seasons in the Premier League where we've stayed up comfortably, even under Gary Neville's season before, and I think our top goal scorer got 7. So, it's not all about that, but the way he plays, and we saw it a few times in the Cup, that it just doesn't seem to work when he's not there. I mean, obviously, that's not going to be the case every time, and I'm sure we'll be working on how we can solve them issues if that's the case. But yeah, he's pivotal to everything we do. Not just goals, as I say, mate. He brings us so much. And yeah, he would be a huge miss. I think it's a weird one because I think, you'll know we spoke a lot about it on here and off here. And I was probably one that always felt that it'd be too hard to keep hold of him. I did feel like a club could come in. I thought maybe Tottenham or Arsenal actually, with the release clause. But, the longer it got on and there was less speaking about it, I was going, is this just because the Euros is on, or maybe he's going to stay? And then as soon as I got a little bit of hope, the story started coming out. But, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, if he were to leave, as you say, then it would be massive loss for us, but it would be a big game for Tottenham, whether they think it or not.
Absolutely. So he started his career, as we know, at Chelsea and as a youngster there, and he didn't really get many opportunities, and no wonder really, because they were doing well in the Premier League and he had lots of competition. There was a loan spell at Vitesse for a bit, scored 7 goals there, I think. He then went to Liverpool, as we well know, but when you've got some of their strikers that you've got to somehow dislodge, it was always going to be difficult for him. So Bournemouth paid 20 million for him. And if you're a Bournemouth fan, you know this song. If you're a Spurs fan, you might not. But 20 million down the drain, Dom Solanke scores again, because he didn't exactly hit the ground running straight away for the Cherries, did he? He found it hard. He scored 4 goals in the COVID season, 2 of which I think were in cup competitions. But ultimately, again, it was a case of, how does this player dislodge our star striker, which at the time was Callum Wilson? Yeah,
Callum Wilson, and we also had Josh King there as well. So it was difficult for him, and I think he was brought in for the future, knowing that one of them, obviously ended up being both, were going to leave at some point, and we could grow him behind the scenes. And it was Eddie Howe who would bring in them sort of players, and most of the time you wouldn't see him for a while, and you'd think, oh, is that a bit of a dud signing? And he'd just make him better and better. And listen, I remember when, just going off on a bit of a tangent there, when Eddie Howe went to Newcastle, and the Newcastle fans, everyone was saying, why have they gone for Eddie Howe? He spent 20 million on Dom Solanke. He's rubbish in the transfer market. No one's saying that anymore, are they? Because if he were to go, we're making a hell of a profit. So well done, Eddie, again. But yeah, he was always that kind of backup player, wasn't he, to Callum and Josh King, and he was a very different player. But then when his opportunities came, yes, the goals didn't come straight away, but I felt like, oh, he has got something there. It didn't take him too long. Yes, it was the Championship, but he scored so many in the Championship. It was only Mitrovic that outscored him, wasn't it?
Sometimes it's a confidence thing. And even though you are playing second tier football, you just need to build that. And in the first season, I think 15 goals or something like that, which was still a decent tally. Yeah. But then the next season after that, 30 goals, I think 1 in the Cup, 29 in the league. And that was a decent tally and something that we were hoping he would take into the Premier League, but he only scored 7 on his return to the Premier League. But then, as I said on another channel, you could put that down towards the style of football, the manager that we had, and Gary O'Neill was a manager for the best part of that, and we weren't a proactively attacking team, were we?
No, and Dom was having to do a lot of work backwards. He was really, I reckon, if you looked at kind of all them statistics on average positions when we had that Gary O'Neill period, he's basically a false nut. He wasn't playing as a centre forward, and he was kind of dropping off, and Billing was going in behind, and to spin it, to Gary O'Neill's credit, he probably got the best out of Billing, because Billing was scored some key goals for us at the time. But yeah, and that's why if Tottenham fans, for example, were looking at this and looking at them sort of things, going, oh, he's only had 1 season in the Premier League score goals. Well, that 1 season was under a manager who loves his strikers to press really high and play fast offensive football, which is exactly what you've got in Ange Postecoglou. So I think it would be silly to look at Dom Solanke under Gary O'Neill when Ange Postecoglou plays more like Iraola.
Yeah.
So that's why I can see the link, and I could see Ange going, he's going to be someone that'll be good for us, because he's doing it at Bournemouth, who haven't got the quality of players that we've got, but because they play so high up and they're so front-footed, that's what we try and be. And he'll get so many chances if he were at Tottenham.
Some Spurs fans are calling him a one-season wonder, but let's not forget, he scored 21, of course, last season in all competitions, but it took Bournemouth a while to get going.
Yeah,
we were winless in our first 8 or 9 games. So the team really started clicking in October, start of November. And from there, if you look at his goal scoring record in that portion of the season, then it looks even better than what it is. Now, as a player, I think I've seen some really good changes in him, because initially he was a bit shot shy. I think sometimes he took too long and maybe overthought his chances, especially one-on-one, bearing down on the keeper. He would overthink it. Now, though, I'm seeing that instinctive striker that, as we've seen in this past season, can score with his left, can score with his right, can score the poachy goals, can score from the outside of the box and the headers as well. In many ways, for us at least, he's a complete striker.
Yeah, no, I'd say so. I'd say that I quite like them chances he gets when he hasn't got too much time to think about it. I still think there's a little bit of that in him.
Yeah.
But as you say, mate, strikers it's all about confidence. And as soon as a few went in, they just kept rolling. That's probably the only thing. Like when you say complete striker, the only thing I'd probably think is maybe if he's got too much time one-on-one. That goal we scored the other day, funnily enough, Luis Sinisterra in the friendly. I think Sinisterra and Semenyo, I'd probably prefer them two in that position, weirdly. Just because I think when Dom has too much time sometimes, I always remember one at Villa, we took too long and then the defender got back. Whereas when they're a little bit more like out of his feet, bang. Better. But yeah, he's good back to goal. He's good pressing. He's absolutely brilliant.
His hold-up plays excellent.
Hold-up plays excellent.
And often I found him in our penalty box defending really well as well.
He's quite good at that. When opposition's corners, he's the first head to clear it. He's very good at that. And he gives you so much. And if you've got wingers that will run, he'll just drop in that pocket and give them chances. And yeah, Tottenham have got a few of them, obviously. And I think, weirdly, we were all saying it, weren't we, with obviously the England squad, he didn't get in. And what I thought was the strangest thing, and don't get me wrong, Ollie Watkins bloody worked. He got into the final. But the way Kane plays, and sometimes he drops deep and lets the wide play, Dom does do that quite well. He is pretty much the complete package, and I'm sure we'll get onto it, but you could give us 200 million. I don't think we replace Dominic Solanke because of the club we are and the players. Because obviously you could say, well, 200 million gets you bloody Haaland, for example, when you wouldn't come to Bournemouth. So what I'm trying to say is the players that Bournemouth could attract, I don't think it's possible to replace them straight away.
We saw in the Arsenal pre-season friendly, though, that look, he is a complete player, but he's not perfect, and no player is perfect. But there were a number of opportunities that he carved out for himself, where he almost just smashed it without any thought, and sometimes like a bit of placement would have been maybe better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, he did have a few chances, didn't he, in that game? But
he's getting into those situations to
and that's definitely part of the system as well. I think he's always getting a few opportunities, which is good. And it's pre-season as well. So, maybe a little bit of sharpness wasn't there. But, I always think with Dom Solanke, if he's getting the opportunities, which he does, under our football now, and he would at a team like Tottenham, he will always score goals. The only time he hasn't, in my opinion, is when he's not been given the chances. And don't get me wrong, he will miss a few, but he will be in the position, in the right areas in a team for Postecoglou to get a good 5 chances a game, and he'll score.
What are his weaknesses, though? I mean, I wouldn't say he's the paciest.
Probably not the quickest.
He's very explosive, but I wouldn't say pacey.
No, I wouldn't say pacey. I wouldn't say slow.
No, he's not.
And his energy and his work rate probably gets him in beyond sometimes, and his football intelligence, but I don't think he's not rapid. No. Apart from that, like I say, there's not too many negatives. I think he's quite good at holding the ball up. He's got really good feet, actually. Some of the goals where he does quick little feet, are really, really impressive. Sometimes maybe I think he should be a little bit more selfish, actually. I think so. And that might be the system he's playing. I don't know, but I've always thought, you can have, there's a few times where you think it takes extra time and tries to lay it off, and you think, be a little bit more. I always think a striker, you got to be a little bit arrogant.
Yeah.
A bit of arrogance about you. And, I think if he got that, he almost, I almost sometimes look at him and go, is he a little bit too nice?
Yeah.
Which is not bad to be one of your weaknesses. But that's all I can think of, mate, to be honest.
He comes across very well in the media. I said on Chris Cowlin's channel that he's very professional. He's not one that will big up his own press attention, although there was one Instagram post that made some Cherries fans very, very concerned, where he said, "Dare to dream." Wasn't quite the Spurs slogan, which is to dare is to do. However, it made a few fans slightly nervous, we've got to say. But look, there are more considerations other than the football for AFC Bournemouth, and not least the financial side of things. We've just signed a youngster, Dean Howson from Juventus, coming to Bournemouth, which, you say that out loud a few times and
he might not even start.
And he might not even start.
Mad.
So, and we've spent, a lot of money on him.
Yeah.
So we've got, PSR, financial fair play to think about. So at some point we are going to need to offload some of our assets, of which Dom is the star man. There's a £65 million release clause. In my mind, Tom, I'm sort of thinking, well, look, we do probably need the money, but also if we're going to sell him, we need to plan as well, because we don't want to be left in the lurch with days, minutes, hours to go.
No, that's my concern, mate. I think, don't get me wrong, I want Dom Solanke to stay at the football club, but if he were to go, I'd rather him go now. We need to, I'm sure there's been planning in place, but it's not as simple as going, we've got this player that we're going to bid for, and as soon as Dom goes, you get him. It's not going to be the other club. There's another club involved if you try to sign someone else that are also going to play hardball. And the problem is, if you sell Dom Solanke, and then you go, we'll just get this one that we planned for. That club are then going to go, they've just lost Solanke. They're going to be desperate for this guy. Add another 10 mil on. And that's the kind of game of poker you've got to play in these sort of situations. And my main fear really is Tottenham are in their rights to go, he's got 65 million release clause. We'll bid 30. We'll bid 40. And draw it out. And you could be 2 days from the window closing. And then they go, fair play, Bournemouth, you're not budging, 65 million. We can't reject it.
Yeah.
And then we've got 2 days to go and get a player in. Yeah. And a club would go, if you were going to sign someone for, say, I don't know, just say, for example, one of the rumours ones, Tammy Abraham, say he was 30 million, just say. If we just sell Solanke and there's 2 days of the window left, Roma are going to go 50. Yeah. And Bournemouth aren't going to be in the position to be able to try and negotiate. We've only got a day now.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's my concern. But hopefully, the club being, it's not like this is a surprise. Everyone's been aware of the Solanke situation and the release clause. Everyone was aware, for example, that Lloyd Kelly was probably going to go. Didn't sign his new deal. We've got House in him. There was obviously a thought process there. So I'm hoping the club are all ready for that. I'm sure they are. But as I said to you, I don't think you replace Dom Solanke, whoever you get in. I think you could get someone that would be a real good neck and neck fight with Unal. Yeah. That him and Unal could really be fighting for a place, and I think that's cool. And then you should have money elsewhere, left over, for me to go for a goalkeeper, but to fill in another area. For me, if you're going to sell Solanke, you try and get that release clause. You try and not budge if you can. Get the 65 million, go and get a top striker to compete with Unal for, say, 30-ish. Then you've got a little bit of leeway there and you're going to get a top class goalkeeper. That would be me personally. I don't know about you, if you're on the same lines or.
It's so difficult. I mean, it's, I can't wait to see how it's going to play out. I really can't. But one thing that I do wonder, how much will of his non-selection for England maybe play in his head a little bit about look, I could stay with this football club. I could have another 20 goals a season for this team, yet still I'd be overlooked. Of course, we know there'll be a different manager in place, but there's always that chance that you can have another brilliant season and someone else will get picked. Like Tony did well, Watkins, we all know that they did well, but at Spurs, you're going to get recognised more and you're going to get the acknowledgement a little bit more than you would at little old Bournemouth. So I wonder if that's playing into his mind in terms of any decision maybe.
Yeah, and he's going to get more chances to score goals at Tottenham as well because of the way they play now. I think that also probably plays into it, the Tottenham players' brand of football that Dom will like. We mentioned previous ones where he struggled a little bit more, so he probably wouldn't want to go back to that. Knowing that Ange Postecoglou is so attack-minded, I think he'd love that. But yeah, you're right. I said it at the end of the season. I think we both kind of spoke about that will be on his mind that he doesn't get the England squad with Bournemouth. But what I would say, to try and play devil's advocate a little bit, is as a new manager, I'd like to think a new manager would be a little bit more clean slate. Than, once you're a manager and you've been there for a while, which Gareth was, characters of Watkins and Tony, and you might really like them. So it's hard to get Dom in. Whereas a new manager might not know who Watkins Tony is, so he's just going to go off who's playing well. So I'd like to think if Tom had a season like that again, they couldn't ignore him. But regardless, mate, if he goes to Tottenham, we both know that he will be in the next England squad, I'm sure. Wouldn't surprise me if Lloyd Kelly plays one game for Newcastle and gets in. That's the way it is. But yeah, there's loads of different things. As you say, it's interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, ideally for Bournemouth, it would be to keep him. If we were to lose him, we need to replace as adequately as we can. And then I personally just think it's just a goalkeeper we need. I think we're pretty well versed everywhere else.
Yeah,
you could always go, maybe another midfielder, maybe another left back. But I think really we're in a good position. I actually think we probably need to offload some of the, I don't want to say dead wood, that always sounds harsh, but maybe players that are on the fringes.
Yes.
So whether that be Brooks still needs game time, let's get him a loan, or Meps, or Billing even, Hamid Traore. There's quite a few like that in there, Fev. So I think it's more offloading, actually.
Interesting. So look, from a Spurs perspective, for fans that are watching who go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium week in, week out, is Dom Solanke an upgrade on Richarlison?
He's miles better than Richarlison. He's miles better than Richarlison as a centre forward. Richarlison, in my opinion, is better off a wide position anyway. There has been murmurings of him going anyway. I think Saudi were looking at him. And weirdly, I think you get the best out of Son when he's playing from a wide out. You know, you saw him when Kane dropped deep and he went in behind. So I think you get the best out of Son. Yeah. So I don't think they've got a better centre forward than Solanke. Equally, I know it's probably because it's Bournemouth and this one season thing, but I think he starts for Arsenal as well.
Wow.
You know, there's no point talking about City because they've got Haaland. I think he starts for a lot of clubs, mate. I think there's probably as good seen him with Nunes. I think he's better than Nunes at Liverpool, ironically. I don't think there's many clubs he can start for, personally. Weirdly, probably Villa's one of the only ones because of Watkins. So, yeah, there's not many better centre forwards, mate, in terms of that lone striker role. Obviously, as we've mentioned, it all depends on the way your team play. And I think with Tottenham, more than most, it would suit him, which is why it's annoying that it's Tottenham, because I think that makes sense.
So what attacking options have they got then, Spurs, if it wasn't for Dom Solanke? I mean, Richarlison's obviously one of them, but, you know, would he be the man that they'd be relying on for goals if it wasn't for Dom?
I think they're always relying on Son to pitch in, and obviously he can play through in the middle. Have they brought Werner back? Because I know he was alone, they could bring him back. Yeah. So I think, and he can play obviously through the middle. And then they're kind of looking at them wide areas, aren't they? Your Kulusevski, Maddison, they'll hope will pitch in.
So this is an obvious fit, really.
That's why I feel like there's more to it, in terms of it seems more, legitimate.
And they are going to make sure, as you know, we all know about Daniel Levy, they are going to make sure they get the best possible price for him as possible.
As they should. But what I will say is they tried that with Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest, and Brennan Johnson is okay. I think he's got a decent ceiling. I'm not sold on him, but he's still young. I appreciate. But they came in low and low and low, and Forest held out and they got 50 million for Brennan Johnson.
Yeah.
You can't tell me Solanke's not worth 15 million more. I think if we held out, we'd probably get it. Unless they had a whole list, I think Tottenham need a striker. So they've got to decide whether they're going to go all out for Solanke or not, or they're looking at other options. And I don't think there's many better than Solanke for much cheaper. So yeah, I think they should go for it. They will come in, and who can play? I know people go, that's a disgrace if they bid 30 million. Well, why not? They might as well try. But from a board perspective, I think we've got to try and hold out as best we can. The thing that will always remain that we will not be privy to unless something very bizarre comes out and Don decides to do an interview about it, which is not going to be advised by his agent at the club anyway, is if Dom's behind the scenes saying to Bournemouth, I signed the contract, I'm more than happy to stay here. If someone bids it, then that's what we agreed, because I said if someone's willing to have me for that much in a top 6 club, I'd like to have a chance to talk to them. But if they don't bid 65, I'm more than happy to stay here. Yeah. Then we'll hold out. But if Dom's going, what do you reckon? Would you accept 50 for me? As the agent going that Dom really wants it, it changes things. Yeah. And that always is a thing that we're never too privy to. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I've got trust in the club. As I say, Kelly was replaced quite quickly by someone that I think is probably going to be better than Lloyd Kelly. We've done really well. We brought in a top coach. Ever since these owners have come in, whatever you think about loads of other stuff, I think in terms of the playing side, the coaching side, we've got better and better and better. So, I trust the decisions they're going to make.
You got a nice cup of coffee there, mate, have you?
I have.
Do you want a rich tea with that?
Just seeing what you've done, yeah.
In other transfer news, or non-news as it seems, did you see social media earlier today? Rumours that Matt Ritchie was returning to the club, but quickly cold water was poured on those rumours by Chris Temple.
Give us
Jack
like 24
Tanner.
hours for a laugh. But I do think there's some, because you always think when there's like I say random reporters, you know what I mean, outside of the football club that put these little links out there.
Who was this? Peter O'Rourke, was it?
I think it was Peter O'Rourke was the first one. I do wonder, I was thinking about it after we were talking about it. Matt Ritchie was at the game at the weekend, wasn't he? At the Bournemouth game.
Yes, he was, yeah.
And I think I think he's still got a place down there. I don't know that 100%.
Yeah, in the New Forest.
Yeah, I think he's still down this way. Obviously, he was at Portsmouth previously as well. And I think he's just come to a game. Someone's got whiff of it. He's a free agent.
He's obviously going around the club, meeting the players that he's played with.
Yeah.
Like Tommy's on the bench. You got Adam Smith. So he'd have gone in and around the stadium, possibly in the medical room.
Yeah.
Picture would have been snapped.
Exactly. So it could have all looked like, so if you're a reporter and you've seen that, you're going to think, no one's got this story. So I get it. It makes sense, but it wouldn't be another transfer window if we weren't linked to Matt Ritchie.
No, exactly.
And I always say I'm a bit too sentimental, and I always go back to, I struggled with having a go at Tyndall because it was Tyndall. I'll take it. He's like nearly 35. We've got to get nowhere near our team, but I'd have him just because it's Matt Ritchie, just even if he's just sat there. And when I've experienced, no disrespect, Darren Randolph sit there picking up a wage for no reason.
Yeah.
Fredericks to a similar degree as well. I kind of go, I'd let Ritchie do that. I still, to this day, think he was the best player in the Championship that season.
Phenomenal player.
Unbelievable.
And transfer rumours are like buses, really, innit? We've had the Dom Solanke ones, of course, Matt Ritchie ones. All I'm waiting for is a Damari Gray tweak, because we haven't been linked with him yet.
I've got a feeling
there's going to be something going on.
I'm going to quickly check. I've got a feeling he went out to Saudi.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, he's playing in the Saudi league, so he'll be on some cash now.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's 28. I feel like he's still 18.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen we'll have to wait. There's always a few little, kind of links with another striker when obviously we've got Dom linked away. The only ones I've really seen, I don't know if you've seen any more, is Tammy Abraham and Cameron Archer.
Yeah.
Are the only ones I've really seen. So
Cameron Archer's not of the same quality as Dom Solanke, is he?
No, not at all. He would be one that we're again going potential, and then that's them going, we're hoping Unai and him could do enough. Do I believe that would be probably not. I know a few Villa fans that are saying, I wouldn't be sure about that. So we'll have to wait and see. But if you get Archer, do you do something like you keep Jebberson, you go Archer, Jebberson, Unai, you're all fighting out for one spot. And hopefully what I think is a big point this season is we had no goals from centre midfield. We had none of our fullbacks score. Senesi pitched in with a few, to be fair to him. We need I know they did a bit, but we need your Semenyo's, Sinistera, Tavernier, Kluivert, Dango, them sort of players need to pitch him with some goals because Billing, for example, because listen, when Dom Solanke got 6 goals, we still were fine because we had goals elsewhere. True. So, I think that's also a big part of it. And we'll be absolutely fine, mate. It's just, I just love him.
Yeah. So do I, you know what?
I got that mask, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You did get them.
I told you I would get that tattooed if he stays. If the window closes...
Yeah, but not on your face, though.
No. If the window closes and Dom Solanke's still a player, I will get that tattooed before the next game.
There you go.
Right.
You've heard
Come on, Dom.
here first. We'll put our money on that and make a gentleman's agreement that Tom actually does do that. Look, there's more content on the way. You can bet to your bottom dollar on that. What we've seen online, mate, today. We need to have a look at that because we will need to talk about that. Unreal. But look, there's content on the way. We've got an interview coming up that you will find really interesting, especially some of the fans over the other side of the pond. We've got our predictor show to get out as well, mate.
Got to cock that up again.
So yeah, going to be really interesting. But we're all hoping that that Dom stays. But you know what, Spurs fans, hope we've done some kind of justice as to describing the type of player that you'll get if you're brand new here and you want to see how Bournemouth do with or without Dom Solanke. We're playing you twice next season. There'll be vlogs, previews and everything. There's a couple of things you can do. Yeah, click the like button, click the bell, and then you'll see when them videos are out. And then obviously subscribe would be massively appreciated. And listen, we've talked about Dom Solanke, our best player, leaving to potentially go to you guys, Tottenham. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that he's got just as much winning the trophy there as he has here. He hasn't won last time he won a trophy, Jonathan Woodgate scored the winner. And I haven't mentioned that, have I? Because I'm that much of a nice guy, all right? Facts. Spitting facts as per usual. We'll see you in the next one. Up the chairs. Up the cherries. Oh, nice stadium as well.